Hi, my name is Vijay and welcome again. So today from the beta team, we are going to learn another good topic is cursor. So why we need the cursor and what are the uses of cursor? Why it was invented? So they wanted to read the entire table row by row, let's say. Then this functionality, cursor was also there in the old databases like the first version of Oracle, and Oracle mostly do using the cursor. But Microsoft doesn't recommend that. Hmm? So what we can do if there is no cursor? There is other alternative ways while loop or doing the data into the bulk update or doing something in bulk. What is bulk? Means performing an action on a result set. Select star from insert into select star from query or set. So what's the cursor? The cursor is nothing but reading a table data row by row. Now, then you must be thinking, why can't we just say select star from that particular row? No, we don't know how many rows that table has. We don't know. So who will tell us how many times that we have to loop it? Suppose we use while loop. Then how many times we have to call that number of iteration. So sometimes we don't want to take the headache. How many times it has to run? Maybe today it has 10 rows, tomorrow it has a 20, then 30 and 40, right? So we just need to set an example or set a set of code or a template that it should run 40 times, the total number of rows. So cursor gives us a freedom for reading each and every row based on till it reaches the end of the row. Okay. So let's first understand the quickly syntaxes and the uses of it. So it can be uses in updation, deletion, insertion, or maybe just a temporary table updation of some column, right? So cursor is just for manipulating a single row by row, not by the data. Maybe we want to check 2, 3 things. We want to validate if this is this, then update. Otherwise, do this. So we wanted to do row by row. And we wanted to do it from the first row to the last row till it reaches the end from the top to bottom. Okay. So let's quickly, we are going to see the Word document first and then examples. Okay. So the definition, as I said, if you're interested more about learning theoretical part, which can help you in interview, make sure you check out our blog, which is on our website, learnsupereasy.com, and the link is below. Okay. So the definition is very simple. Okay. It's just an retrieving and manipulation is set of rows. It is allowed by a set of queries. So cursor is typically used in install procedure or other programming constructs, right? So as I just explained, right, Oracle use heavily cursor and they are good with the performance, but Microsoft does not recommend. If it is integration, Microsoft does not recommend to use cursor. You should avoid. If there is no way that you have to use it, then only use it. Okay. So I recommend to use while loop instead of cursor. Okay. Yeah, other things are not important. So let's quickly go to the declaration part. How many forms it has divided? Declaration, initialization. Declaration means we are defining a cursor. What the cursor name and type. Then initializing, we are loading the data into this. Okay. Fetching. Now we load it. Now we want to fetch it one by one. Then closing it. Once we are done, we can close it. Deallocating means you can see, right? Removing from the memory. Closing means just the close, we may need it again. So it's still there in the memory. We are just closing the cursor. So it will forget, it will reset its, starting and end point. So we are closing it because we have to open it also, right? We'll see it in the syntax, but that's what the theoretical part will touch. Declaration, initialization, fetching, closing, deallocating. Okay, perfect. Let's see the syntax. Syntax, I would recommend directly. Let's go to the our SQL example and then learn there only. Okay. Okay. So before we do that, let me quickly drop this so that it won't give you a problem when we try to execute something. Okay, perfect. Let's see this. So you on my screen, you can see this is a very simple example of customer info table. Okay. It has ID as a primary, name as a varchar 50, city as a 20. Okay, perfect. 3 columns, perfect. Have we created? Done. Okay, can you remember that? So that you have to revise this in your brain when we'll talk about fetching, initializing, opening cursor, fetching the next row. So you have to at least know how many columns it has: ID, name, and city. 3. Okay. I hope you can remember that. Okay, let's go into that more further down. Okay. Now we are just trying to insert a simple 3 rows. Three employees data, 3 customers data basically. Okay, let's do that. Done. Let me show you how the table looks. Let me at least show you. Okay, you see, very simple. Francis, Sheldon, and Ella. Okay, and London, New York, and Dover is the city, right? 3. I hope you can remember their first names, and just for our practice purpose. Okay. Now let's say I wanted to take this name. I wanted to take this name from this particular name, and I wanted to maybe add Mr. before the name. Maybe I wanted to do something. I want to read that row. From that row, I only wanted to read that specific column. There are 3 columns: ID, name, and city. I wanted to only read name, and what I want to append, Mr. And then my cursor should read every row, that column, and it should append and print it for n number of times, that the total number of rows till that it should run. And I should not tell how many times it should loop through. It should identify its own. So Microsoft has set up that how it can identify its own, then when it has to run, till how much it has to run. So that's what the cursor is. We don't need to tell him. He knows. It knows. Okay. Let's go. So we know that we are going to use 1 column from out of 3 columns. Suppose I wanted to do 2 columns, then I have to declare 2 variables of the same type. Sorry, first name or city. If I wanted to make use of these 2, whatever I think that I am going to use inside the cursor, I'm going to put the same variable list. Okay, so done. Our variable, this is the declaration part, simple variable. This is not the cursor. Now we are going to talk about the cursor. Here we are saying declare cursor. This is our name. You can also give yours. You can give whatever name you like. Declare cursor example, cursor for select name from. Here is our table. We are saying, please, we are declaring a cursor and we are giving a reference query. So it's a reference query. It's all the data. So from all 3 rows, we are saying only take name and load into that cursor example. Okay, perfect. So done. Let's say now what is the second part? I hope syntax is very simple. Declare cursor name, cursor for. For means here this is nothing but a reference query. What query you want to load it. Okay, perfect. Now open cursor example means if you want to open, after declaring what was our theoretical part, opening the cursor. This is declaring, initialization, and opening. Opening means now it knows we wanted to read it. Okay, cursor is ready. You have the reference query. You have the 3 rows, that single column 3 times. Okay, now let's open it because we want the pointer which goes by 1, 2, 3. The pointer will set to the first row. So opening cursor is nothing but setting the pointer to the first row that is ready to fire from the first row. Okay. Now fetch next from cursor example into first name. So here is there's a little small trick here. Fetch next means the cursor pointer is just above the line -1. The moment we say fetch next, now it will hit the first row. It's on the -1 and it is going to hit the first row. So fetch next is nothing but telling the cursor pointer to move every time. Whenever we say fetch next, move second. Now we'll say fetch next. We are asking the pointer to go to the row number 2. Then row number 3. So this is how we are communicating with the cursor pointer. Okay, perfect. So fetch next from cursor. This is our cursor name where we have loaded 3 rows of single column, a result set of name, right? Here we are saying, okay, fetch next from this and insert and load into what? Now here we are talking one single value. Remember, here this is not the result set. We are just saying the where is the pointer right now? The first row. What it can read? Single value. What is the cursor is for? Reading the single value, single row at a time. If you want more than one, we have to declare two variables, three variables. If you want to hold three values for the three columns, right? We need three. If you want to hold two, then you need two variables. Right now, our purpose is just to hold name. So we are saying fetch next from cursor into the variable. So whatever the first row, please assign that value to the variable which we have created. It's very simple. Okay. Where we have created this variable? Above. You remember our starting point. Why? Because in our mind, we know that we are going to perform a concatenation with Mr. first name. We want to just add it and print it. We want to read every row, but we want to pick only the name and add the Mr. Okay, let's go. Now, fine. Till here, why we have to follow this? So this syntax is fixed. You don't need to worry. You can mug up this syntax. You declare, refer the query, open the cursor, always say the fetch next. So your initial time, when it's happening the first time, your variables is holding the first row data. Clear? Now, do I need to, if there are 1000 rows, do I need to write 10,000 times fetch next? Do I need to do that? No. For that, we are going to use while loop. Okay, perfect. So we don't know how many times we have to call it, right? So fetch next is just for one-time uses. One-time uses. Before that, after opening the cursor, you have to make that count pointer ready and put these value into a variable. So this is a fixed thing whenever you write cursor, remember. Okay. So you can mug it up. Okay. Now we are telling this part, we are telling, okay, while we are taking help of loop, so it can loop through. Okay. So, okay, now cursor and while loop, we are trying to link it. While says, okay, I can loop it n number of times, but how do I know where I have to stop? So cursor says, okay, there is a function called fetch status. So this is 0. Okay, what is mean by 0? It means the condition is true. What does it mean by 0? It means cursor knows where it reaches, when the pointer reaches the last row, the fetch status will be becomes 1. Okay, at the time condition will be false, and as per the rule of while, it will come out of the while. Okay, now it comes inside, the condition is true. Right now we are not saying how many times it has to run. Remember, it depends on a condition which is true or false, and cursor knows, because it's a function, is nothing but accessible within the cursor. It holds the status. It is in the first row, second row, third row, last row. If it is a last row, it is a -1. Then this condition will be false. Then it will be come out of the while loop. As simple as that. Okay. Here we are saying print Mr. plus that variable. The variable which we just now, we load that variable value from our first row, from our cursor. Our cursor has 3 rows. This is from the first row. Okay. From the first row, pick the name. We printed. Done. Okay. What now? Now, to go to the second row, we have to tell again to cursor. Go next. It means fetch next. Now, please go and go to the cursor and go to the pointer, go to the second row. Please go to the second row. Okay. Then it says, okay, fetch next from cursor into, now again put that into that variable. Print is done. Then it from here, it will go to, let me do little a note here. It says, okay, I printed done. Step number 1, let's say. No, number 2. Then it says, okay, you are done. Now read from the cursor line number 2 and again put that value into that same variable, wherever that first name variable. Okay. Okay. Then it touches here, then it goes to check the condition. The condition, there are 3 rows in our cursor. Right now, cursor is holding 3rd row. So this particular fetch status is becomes 0 when our pointer is pointing to this, and the moment it point to this, now it turn out automatically as a 1. Who is doing that? Microsoft SQL engine will take care of that. You don't need to worry about it. You just make sure once this condition is true, you have to keep loop through. Okay, it means you have not touched the end. So Microsoft will take care. This is handled by Microsoft SQL engine. You don't need to worry about it. Okay. So it will come here and say, okay, the condition is still true. Line number 2, I will go and print it again. So print 1, print 2, print 3. Then it goes and check here. Now it's the end of the line. Then it says, no, now you are out. Now I'm at the end of the line. There is no row to read it. What I will do? Then it will come out of the while loop. Okay. It will break the sequence. 1, 2, and third. After the third attempt, it will come out of the sequence. Okay, perfect. Let me clear my drawing. Now what we can do once we are done? We have to say close cursor. Okay. Then we have to say deallocate cursor. What's the difference between both? As I said, cursor in the memory, it takes a huge memory. It's not in the temp database, it's in the server memory. So make sure, this is why Microsoft does not recommend you to create cursor heavily. For the shorter purpose or shorter table, you can do, but for the heavy tables, do not play with the cursor. Okay, but you need to know what cursor is in case you join a project and that cursor is already there. At least you should need to know what the cursor is, but make sure you don't design and develop cursors as a new program in your procedure. Okay, make sure, try to avoid it. Okay, now deallocating means whatever that object in the cursor, now I don't want that in my SQL Server. Let's remove it so that space will be free and this space will be used for the another server activities. Okay, so let me run it, right? I haven't run it. I was just explaining you step by step what is happening. Let me now minimize it. Means let me do a little bit zoom out and then zoom in, and okay. So I'm running it in one shot so you can, you can see it. You see 3 names. Mr. Francis, Mr. Shell, and Mr. L. Right? You see, this is what our intention is. You remember our tables, 3 rows. Now, with the help of cursor, we are able to print 3 times. In the same way, you can do any action inside the while loop. Suppose you wanted to do insert, you want to do first name plus last name, you wanted to update the salary for each row based on some if-else condition, you wanted to check something. You can do all set of activities in the row by row. It's a row by row operation. Okay. So all these activities where you have to write inside the while loop, and while loop knows when it has to come out. Okay, we just discussed. So I hope you like this and stay tuned for more videos like this if you liked it. Thank you.